Değerli konuklarımız, Moskova'yı dinledik. İlham verici örneklerde. Bekir Hoca bize değişimi anlattı. Kentlerin ne kadar büyüdüğünü ve yaşam biçimlerinin, değer sistemlerinin ne kadar değiştiğini ve en önemlisi bizlerin konuşmak yerine dinlememiz gerektiğini hatırlattı. Aynı anonsları her moladan sonra tekrar ediyorum. RE360 buluşması. Özgür Hocam sizden de destek rica ediyoruz. RE360 buluşması hesaplarımız hashtag'de RE360 buluşması. Bu arada çok hayranınızız, çok seviyoruz sizi. İyi ki de buradasınız. Instagram'daki hikayelerde her oturumu paylaşıyoruz. Lütfen oturumlara oy verin. Çünkü önümüzdeki sene neler bekleniyor, neler beğenilmiş, neler eksik kalmış onları anlamak için bize yol gösterecek. Yabancı konuşmacılarımız var. Yeni gelen ve çeviri için kulaklık almamış olanlar salonda şu ışıklı alandan çeviri kulaklıklarını alabilirler. Moskova dedik. Daha sonra biraz daha Asya'ya gidelim ve Asya'nın pırıl pırıl bir bölgesi Singapur. Singapur sürdürülebilirlik ve yaşanabilirlik dendikçe akla gelen merkezlerden bir tanesi. Bu nasıl gerçekleşti? Kamu ve özel sektör işbirliği nasıl sağlandı? Smart Nation diye bir inisiyatif başlıyor ve Smart Nation inisiyatifinin ilham veren sonuçlarını şimdi dinleyeceğiz. Kentsel planlama ve büyük ölçekli mimari projelerden örnekler dinleyeceğiz. DP Architects direktörü ve ULI üyesi Hui Min Chan'ı sahneye davet etmek istiyorum. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ms. Hui Min Chan. Büyük alkış lütfen. Hoş geldiniz.
Günaydın. That's the extent of the Turkish I have. I am very, very honored to be invited to share a little bit about Singapore, a country that is too small to be seen on the world map. So the things I'm going to share are by no means the best, and there are many, many other people who are better than us, but a little bit about Singapore to share today with you. Thank you. So first, a little bit about who I am. Merhaba from Singapore. I represent DP Architects. The circles that you see there represent DP Turkey, which we started in 2016. I founded the company here. So I'm technically a Turkish resident because I have the residency card. I also am an architect. I also do urban planning. I'm a member of the Singapore Institute of Planners, as well as at one time in my career, part of the dot-com boom in New York. So I wear many hats in the company. And so I'm going to share with you perspectives from a little bit about all of these. I'm not going to go through this. This is DP in one slide. We are 1,200 people, do cities to doorknobs, and with the aim to enrich the human experience and spirit in the built environment. So now, let's start with Singapore. So this morning, we heard from Bekir Bey, all the change that's happening now, that the only constant is change. It is by no means unique to Turkey, because Singapore is also going through the very same thing. We have similar challenges, economic downturn. We are also, at the same time, grappling with an aging population. So this is a snapshot comparing Singapore with Istanbul. We are half the size of Istanbul, roughly 1/3, or slightly more than 1/3 the population, and yet our population density is more than triple. Why is that? This is a challenge we have. The reason is because we are a nation state. The amount of land that we have is limited, and we have to designate it for different purposes, for national defense, water catchment, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. Hence, the land that's attributed for housing is only 17% of our land holdings. And yet, For the people who have been to Singapore, you can feel the green. Our branding is a city in a garden, not a garden city, but a city that's in a garden. And we have been voted one of the most livable cities in the world. How did that happen? How did we do this? So here are some of the challenges first. I've just shown you the land scarcity. We have no natural resources. We don't even have enough fresh water. We have to invent new ways of getting fresh water and recycling fresh water from wastewater and so on and so forth. We import almost everything. We have hardly any agriculture. And 1 in 4 residents will be above 65 years old by 2030. It's a huge stress on our healthcare system and our tax system and so on and so forth. And at the same time, because we now need to survive in this very harsh environment, we want to keep our economy growing. What you see here is Singapore's GDP per capita at present, and we have to fight to stay in this kind of category so we have enough tax revenue to support the way we run our country and our lifestyles. So these are the challenges we have. As you can see, with any kind of land-scarce situation, we need to be very, very economic about land. So the 3 main themes in Singapore: sustainable, livable, and smart. These are the ways that we make our small little nation state livable for all, to sustain and attract the talent to build our economy. And if you look at these videos that are extracted from a National Geographic video about Singapore, it doesn't feel like 7,000 persons per square kilometer at all. And I want to welcome you to visit Singapore. Let me try to explain little by little, little extracts of what the sustainable, livable, and smart aspects are in our development, our context. So as with any kind of important things in Singapore, it's promoted and anchored by the government. So the state body that anchors the green is our building authority. They founded the Green Mark system, which is like a LEED system, a BREEAM system. And they set the challenges, they set the targets for energy savings to meet our Paris Accord ratification. And their aim is by 2030 to have 80% of the buildings in Singapore be considered green, using the Green Mark system, and to focus now on health and well-being and super low energy buildings. The Building Construction Authority also wants more of design for manufacturing and assembly to reduce the on-site manpower that are used on construction today. We have land scarcity, so everybody we invite to the country, we want to be highly productive. So for construction workers, we want to minimize the unskilled labor as much as possible by using DFMA. And the important thing is to put together now, we already use BIM for design, and our contractors use BIM for construction. And now what we want to do is to do smart FM and link everything together in an integrated way for integrated digital delivery, in which we can digitize the entire built environment value chain onto one single platform. So when I put this up here, it's not just the government statements. They put their money where their mouth is. Every single public project, as soon as a statement like that is made, becomes a compulsory delivery item for the project. So this is how Singapore's government pushes these kinds of things and gives money for research. So this is just a snapshot of what IDD is, which is a very hot topic now in Singapore. And then we also have a separate government body that champions livable cities. That's the Center for Livable Cities, in which they collate the research and experience building Singapore with green and sustainable concepts and celebrate that and build upon the research to be shared globally. And also Smart Nation. Why do we call ourselves a Smart Nation? This is an authority that is overseen by the Prime Minister's office. It is to bring together a full transformation, digital transformation of the nation. Built environment sector is only one part of it. It's from that finance through to the social, to every single aspect of our lives, and including incentivizing adoption and funding and so on and so forth. So a few case examples to illustrate some of the recent successes that we've seen with these government incentives under sustainable. For the architects in the crowd, you may recognize this building who won the Best Building of the Year in the World Architecture Forum this year. It's the Kampong Admiralty Building. And this is a project whose client is the Public Housing Authority called HDB, Housing Development Board of Singapore, which builds housing for 80% of Singapore's population. What's really innovative about Kampong Admiralty is that not only is a very innovative use of space, you can see that what they have done is have 100% green replacement. The original land is greenfield. Now we bring the park entirely upwards. We lifted the park, okay, the architects, Woha architects, lifted the park to the roof, and then created underneath it a mixed-use village that includes homes, independent studio homes for aged people, for student care, medical center, community farm, hawker center, community plaza, and shops and supermarket in one village, in one building. What this helps them do is there's a sharing of resources. The sharing of resources allow you to save on the amount that you even consume in the first place. That's sustainability number one. Number two, you have a park upstairs. You don't even need to walk to a park, just go upstairs. That's livability number two. So this is something that we are celebrating. This is one of the latest projects. Livable. What are the case examples for livable here? This is another one of these hubs, an example that is very interesting, especially for retail folks amongst you. This used to be an open-air soccer stadium, a community stadium, the land of which was used to build, because we're land scarce. On top of the sports facility, the client said, please replace the sports field, but I want a sports hub, a clinic, a library, police station, everything in one single building, and a shopping mall, by the way. And so, 12 stakeholder agencies and more than 15,000 residents in the area engaged. This was using a smart platform to collect their input to shape the development as it goes along. As a result of their input and the 12 stakeholder agencies, I salute the architects who worked on this project. It's bad enough having one client. You have 15,000 opinions and 12 clients. This is an amazing project. As a result of this, it's a very revolutionary space that has 26 functions in one single building using the land of an old football field. What's really interesting about this place is that after it was built, we did not anticipate this when it was under construction. After it was built, the footfall of this place and the retail yield of this place far outperformed any of the neighborhood malls nearby. It really taught us that maybe the new way forward is not to think of, when you have a retail asset, as a mall owner. Perhaps you should become a mayor to convene things that are relevant and important for the community, because that's where they want to be. I recently visited the United States and Japan to learn about how they cope with aging population, and visited the top geriatric researchers in geriatric medicine. And after many, many years of research, they basically said one thing. Both US and Japan said the same thing. To have a very good quality of life and delay the onset of morbidity until the very, very latest part of your years. That means you want to have very good quality of life till you're 80, and then maybe you have physical decline, very sharp one. You need three things. You need good physical health. That's very obvious. You need two, good mental stimulation, so you must prevent dementia. And the third thing, which we often neglect, you need friends. You need a very healthy social environment, family and friends. Any one of these three that declines, the two other will decline very, very soon after. And so it's very important not to underestimate the value in social infrastructure. It's not just investing in houses and commercial and physical infrastructure. Social infrastructure is very important and part of livability and sustainability, things that we have learned. Now, smart. Singapore has, on the get-go, recognized that there's a limit in our land and we don't want to increase. You saw the slide before, the amount of land that we designate for road infrastructure is limited. And we don't want to keep growing it because there are competing needs for it. How do you accommodate cars? So scientists have shown that if we go and adopt autonomous vehicles, you can increase the capacity of the roads by 8 to 10-fold. The caveat is they have to be all autonomous, not human and autonomous vehicle on the same road. So in preparation for this, Singapore has already started this experimentation, real life cases, not just inviting external companies to come set up and use Singapore as a living lab. They have already tested it in mass transit services for intra and intertown travel, on-demand shuttle services, freight transportation, utility operations such as road sweeping and taxis and Grab. In certain districts in Singapore, you can Uber. No more Uber, it's Grab now. Grab a autonomous vehicle. Autonomous vehicles will not be popular or prevalent for another 10 to 15 years because of the technology, but we are already preparing for ourselves for it in terms of legislation. So it's not just important to invest in infrastructure and force people to follow certain trends or research. You need to put the legislation in place to allow this change to happen. So the Active Mobility Bill, Road Traffic Act, and the Community for Autonomous Road Transport has already been set up, and it evolves day by day to allow this kind of experimentation to happen so that insurance companies can price for it. And so now, we know that autonomous vehicles are going to come, which means that, or actually rideshare, before autonomous vehicles, rideshare is becoming more and more popular. It will change our infrastructure. People won't need their own cars anymore. So what are you going to do with all the car parks that are already built? There's already legislation in Singapore to allow existing car parks to be transformed into other uses. It's already in the planning guide. Now, another case example in terms of healthcare. This is a private example, not a government one. And this was allowed because of a very innovative planning guideline in Singapore we call white site. Some sites in Singapore are not zoned commercial or residential or healthcare or whatever. They're just zoned white. They allow the developers to come in and propose a case. And this allowed this developer, which is a bunch of doctors, to propose this building. Connection is a combination of a tertiary hospital, 250-key luxury hotel, medical center, retail corridor, and an academic specialist center. This is a very, very interesting concept. The hotel and the medical part is not separate. They're highly integrated because it transforms what you think about how hospitals should be. It was designed on biophilic principles, so evidence-based biophilic principles. So a nature view can reduce the length of stay by 8.5% and daylight and so on and so forth. So these were built into the design of the hospital. And the different aspects of it was woven into the uses of the space, whether it's a corridor, engineering workshop, physician's office, and so on and so forth. There's a very, very high level of integration between the hospitality and the medical and retail components. So you can see that they're not divided. It allows very interesting flexibility. It allows the patient to have the family support and medical support within an arm's length. And the patient doesn't have to live in discomfort in a hospital. So people who are staying, especially for medical tourism, if your loved one in the hospital, you can be in a hotel room in the next wing, and you don't even have to go down to the lobby to go and see him at night. So the patient experience is also innovative. There's not just regular healthcare, it's a hospitality experience because this helps them get better faster. So the whole building is wired up. Why is it a smart building? It's wired up as a single digital complex that allows all the different functions to talk to each other. So what difference does it make as a patient? You're a patient. You don't have to eat hospital food. You can order food directly from the hotel. If you need something, a pair of stockings, a pair of socks that you forgot at home, you can order it directly from the retail below. If you need anything at all, your medical data is also highly integrated between nurses, surgeons, post-surgical care, one platform. From the doctor's desktop, you can interact with research centers and diagnosis centers from elsewhere in the world. Even the operating theaters are fiber optic wired up, so you can have remote advice while you're doing them. Someone remotely can observe your operations. This is a hospital that was pulled together in this way because infrastructure is very important. Digital infrastructure is important for this group of people. It's a smart hospital. This one is a very interesting example, bridging online and offline retail. A startup, so you may have heard of Amazon starting a brick and mortar facility and Alibaba starting Hema stores. A startup in Singapore with $15 million seed money, they started a concierge and delivery service called Honest Bee. You can find Honest Bee booths in malls. They guarantee 1 hour, same day, within the hour, same day delivery of groceries to your home. You order and it will arrive in 1 hour's time. They have a concierge service, peer-to-peer concierge service. They have now recently moved to brick and mortar. And in this video, it shows that the brick and mortar experience completely transformed grocery shopping. Now you just pick your groceries because you are a Honest Bee member. You don't have to check out. You put all your groceries to the robots, they will check out for you. And while they are checking out, you go to a restaurant, your children can play, and after you relax in that big space, then you go to the robots and collect your groceries home, or you can have it delivered within the hour by Honest Bee to your home. This is changing the way people consume. A vision for food security. So I just told you that early on that Singapore doesn't have any farms and we import everything. So this company called Netatech wanted to change that. David Tan, the founder of Netatech, had a vision that the roofs of Singapore should be farms. Some people say you should do solar panels, but he thinks that it should all be farms. So he developed a technology that does farming in a smart way with minimal labor, and it's all monitored using equipment and scientists. So you can maximize the yield of the farm with minimal land area. He's putting it all in the cloud so you can monitor this. You can also network the farms in the cloud so that you can have consistency of supply across a variety of sources, not just your own farm. His aim is to really occupy the rooftops of Singapore, and this is one of the projects that he has recently is going to be completed next year. It's a joint project with Grant Associates, and it's a Capital Land Mall Trust mall called Funan. And Funan really brought into urban agriculture as only one part of this new mall. You can find out about this mall on their website, but it's really changing the idea of how retail spaces should work for people, not just for shopping anymore. Last example, Smart Precinct. This is an up-and-coming project that is being completed next year. What this allows is this whole on a district level. So you've heard of smart buildings. This is a smart precinct. At a district level, they're going to wire up all the building systems as a single precinct, connecting everything from surveillance to smart grid to help desk to everything under one platform. This was done by a Singapore company, UTech. they implemented the smart precinct concept in Barangaroo. So what can a smart precinct do? The same version 1 of this smart precinct in Barangaroo not only allowed site-wide management of the energy, security, health, and safety and visitor management services, it allowed them to achieve a massive reduction in energy consumption precinct-wide. So they discovered a lesson from there, is that when you design things in silos, you over-provide because everyone wants to have a factor of safety. So on a precinct-wide, the savings can be really, really huge when you start to manage it centrally as one. What's an unexpected thing out of this, which we hope to see in Paya Lebar Quarter when it's finished, is that it transformed the way people charge for resources, how they charge for electricity, management of tenancy spaces. Being able to measure the usage to such high degree changed the business model for real estate in this project. Why are we excited about this? As an architect, you're going to say, what do you mean you're an architect? Why do you care about technology that much? We care a lot about technology because we believe that the only way to cope with change is to set the platform that's flexible for change. Different parts of the building age at different rates. Structure lasts 100 years, your facade lasts maybe 30, 40 years, your MEP lasts 25 years, your interiors 15 years, and your furniture maybe 5 to 10 years. But consistently, because of the need for change, you rip out things faster than the useful life of your assets. So we believe that having now a digital layer, giving the building an operating system, will allow you to cope with flexibility for change. This is something that we partnered UTIC to do recently, and I hope to be able to share more of that with you in the days to come. Imagine now, you see the Tesla revolutionized the car industry because an electric car, it's not just because it's an electric car. Electric cars are a dime a dozen. But they have an operating system. The operating system linked up discrete suppliers, the equipment and the engines from different suppliers into one whole. And you upgrade the OS, you upgrade your car. In the future, buildings will be like this. You're going to design the building because it's now DFMA, you do everything prefab. All you need now is to add an operating system on it. You can design your building like a car. I'm personally very, very excited by this proposition. Already in DP, we have automated the sustainable design so that every architect, regardless of whether you're a programmer, can have access to this on demand. We are also working on projects with parametric design to address design complexity so that you have infinite variations because you design the algorithm, not the final product. This kind of mentality will allow us, with the proper DNA, now today, all we can achieve is a static facade. Climate responsive, parametrically designed, generative, and so on and so forth, but it doesn't respond because there's no way to control the facade. We want to be able to go that far. So I'm very, very happy to say that we are now on this journey. Architecture for us now is no longer confined with the physical realm. We're going to marry the virtual realm as well. With that, I thank you for listening to me. I hope my case examples was useful to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hui Min Chan. Wonderful, very inspirational examples. Wonderful, really.